Coach, first on the game tonight, the approach once again, how the rotation looks again with a lot of variables being thrown your way. Your approach to this game with the Magic.
Yeah, I think we have to be adaptable, flexible, and so there's certain questions that will be answered as the game goes on, and we don't know right now how we'll approach certain scenarios and situations. But I think it's an all hands on deck type mentality, and we're gonna have to play the new guys, and we should be excited by the opportunity to get out there and come together and solve problems and compete.
Sean talked about the number of voices in the room and the conversations that were had in regards to Kyrie Irving and returning on a part-time basis. What's your take on Kyrie being allowed to return and what it means for the group?
Well, I'm excited to have Kyrie back. Obviously, he's an incredible player. No matter what capacity we incorporate him in, it's just positive for our group. And knowing that we first struck the decision not to have him with us for continuity at the outset of a season, and frankly, continuity has been thrown out the window with COVID and injuries and whatnot. So I think it's important for us to use all the resources we have to navigate the season, and we're putting an extra strain on a lot of our guys. So he can help us, one there, and two with his talent, and it's an unused resource for us that we can lean on to help us navigate the season and patch this thing together as we continue to face different adversities.
Brian Mahoney.
Hey, Steve. I don't know any of the rules on this kind of thing, but you'd almost be better off signing nobody this week and ruling someone else out and having less than 8. Did you have to sign somebody? Did you ever get to the point where you could have just said, we're better off not playing right now, or how did this all kind of work out here?
Yeah, no, we have to sign people to play the game. So we have to sign enough players to be over the threshold, which is 8 players, and that's the rules we're working off of right now.
Alex Schiffer.
Steve, going off that, you got about 9 available guys by my count tonight. 2, Patty and Blake, have kind of been the only ones really playing for consistently most of the season. Just how much of the playbook do you have to tweak given that going into tonight's game with all the newcomers and still guys like Kessler that have only played really this week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it'll be simplified, but we've been simplifying things, throughout the year, just with all the different lineups and all the newness. So it's not a lot change there. We've tried to keep it pretty simple, and tonight it'll be even more simple. But I'm sure it's the same in the other locker room, with what they're going through. So yeah, I don't feel like that's too concerning. In a sense, that's just the nature of it right now, and sometimes simplicity is great.
Christian Winfield.
Hey, Coach, is there any concern from your end that putting an unvaccinated player on the floor in the middle of what seems to be a league-wide COVID surge could then do more harm to that player?
I mean, it's something to consider. Having said that, he's, a young man in great health. So, I think the odds of him having something difficult or catastrophic happen are small. But yeah, I can say this virus concerns me in every corner and aspect of its short life so far. So that's a concern, but it's also a concern for the vaccinated. So it's just something that we're having to live with in our world these days. And so we'll proceed and do the best we can to protect and care for everyone. But this is what it is. We can take as many precautions as we can, and we should, but we're not going to be able to, change it all every day. It's just a part of how we're going to have to deal with life moving forward.
Greg Logan.
Steve, I have 2 quick questions. First is just a small procedural question. We were told when the practice facility was classified as a private office that Kyrie could practice there, but there's a new mask mandate in New York City that goes into effect on the 27th. Do you know if that will have any issue in terms of preventing him from practicing? That's one. And then second, you've talked all season about having two teams, one in camp with Kyrie, one without him, and the difficulty of adjusting. What will that look like if you get to the playoffs and he's a part-time player?
I'm not sure the answer to both of those. I think one, I'm not sure. The first one, I'm not sure about the mask, private facility, indoor vaccine mandate coming up, or sorry, whatever the mandate is that's coming up on the 27th. So I shouldn't speak on that until I understand it. And then the playoff situation as well. You know, these are things so far in advance, and we're just facing so many unknowns, so many variables right now. The first one is that we've decided to incorporate Kyrie. We'll work at incorporating him on the court, off the court, all those different variables. But down the road, you know, I don't know what we're dealing with. I don't know what the protocols will be. I don't know what the league will look like, the world will look like. So, you know, the playoffs is so far off. I think we just crossed the first, the bridge of getting Kyrie back incorporated to this group.
Alex?
Steve, Nick was a late scratch today. Just, is there any optimism he could play tomorrow, or you probably, you know, Tuesday, or the West Coast is more practical with him?
Yeah, I don't know. But it definitely, I think we clearly, we're very cautious today with good reason. I think it would not be smart for him to play today, but tomorrow's a different question. But, you know, he does have some swelling and some irritation.